On a normal night in 2014, a routine overnight flight departed Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, bound for Beijing, China. It was supposed to be a standard 6-hour trip, but what unfolded became one of the most puzzling events in modern aviation. Today, we're diving into the bizarre timeline, chilling clues, and the many theories that surround the mystery of Flight MH370. Was it a mechanical failure, a hijacking, or something far more unsettling? Let's break it down.
Delivery Malaysia 370, good morning.
Malaysia 370 standby and Malaysian 6 is straight to Frankfurt via Agosa Alpha departure, 6,000 feet squawk 2106.
Clear to Frankfurt, Agosa Alpha departure, 6,000 feet squawk 2106, Malaysian 6.
Malaysian 6 over the ground, good day. Malaysian 370, request level.
370, we are ready, requesting flight level 350 to Beijing.
Malaysian 370 straight to Beijing via Pibos Alpha departure, 6,000 feet squawk 2157.
Beijing, people Sanfang 6,000 squawk 2157, Malaysian 370, thank you.
Malaysian 370, welcome over the ground.
Good day, sir.
On March 8, 2014, Flight MH370 took off from Kuala Lumpur at 12:41 a.m., bound for Beijing. Weather was clear, and everything appeared normal.
Malaysian 370, good morning. 21, requesting push and start. Departure Lumpur, ground, morning, push back and start, push runway 3 to right, exit via Sierra 4. Push back, start, push to right, exit Sierra 4, PRP 239, Mike Romeo Oscar. Copy.
There were 239 people on board, 227 passengers, and 12 crew members. It should have been a routine journey to Beijing. But shortly after takeoff, strange and unexplained events began to unfold. Throughout the entire procedure prior to departure, and even right after, communication between the ATC and cockpit was normal, as usual. At exactly 1:07 a.m., the plane sends its final ACARS transmission, an automated system that reports flight and maintenance data. Nothing unusual was detected at that moment. At exactly 1:19 a.m., the co-pilot radios air traffic control with what would be the last known words from the cockpit.
Good night, Malaysia 370.
Just moments later, the plane vanishes from civilian radar. At 1:21 a.m., the transponder, the system that identifies the plane to air traffic control, is manually switched off. This is a deliberate action, not a malfunction. Between 1:30 and 2:15 a.m., military radar reveals something alarming. The aircraft had sharply turned off course, flying west across the Malay Peninsula and even passing back over Malaysia before heading out toward the Andaman Sea. At 2:22 a.m., the final military radar contact places the jet near the Nicobar Islands. After that, it disappears completely from radar. But here's where things get even stranger. The aircraft wasn't gone. For nearly 7 more hours, satellites detected handshakes, automatic signals, showing that MH370 was still in the air. The final ping came at 8:19 a.m. over the southern Indian Ocean. The search became the largest and most expensive in aviation history, spanning millions of square kilometers of ocean. Between Australia, United States, Malaysia, and Vietnam, an estimated $71 million was spent, with Australia being the largest contributor at $43 million. There were 22 other countries that participated, including China, India, Japan, and the UK, though most did not disclose exact figures. So we don't really know exactly how much was spent, but one can assume it was well over 100 million. For an entire decade since 2014, efforts were made in search of Flight MH370, but with no success. The Dragon Prince, a deep-tow fish, was used to scan large portions of the ocean floors. It managed to find debris from a 19th century ship, but not one clue for MH370. Pieces of the aircraft, like a wing flap, washed ashore years later in places like Mozambique, Madagascar, and Réunion Island, confirming the plane had indeed gone down in the Indian Ocean. Despite this, the main wreckage and black boxes have never been found. The ocean hadn't revealed its secrets, but people had their own ideas, and those ideas may be the only clues we have left. When the search failed to provide answers, the world turned to speculation. Some believe that it was a mechanical failure like a sudden fire or decompression, but experts say that the strange flight path doesn't match this theory. Investigators have looked closely at the captain, Zahari Ahmad Shah, who had a flight simulator at home. Some believe he may have deliberately diverted the plane. His flight simulator at home even contained routes similar to MH370's final path, but whether this points to planning or coincidence remains fiercely debated. If Captain Zahari was the accomplice, experts believe he had a predetermined destination that is somehow off radar. They speculate that he deliberately wanted to make the plane disappear, so the 6 hours of random handshakes after the last known detection was him flying to that unknown location. It was also said that at the time of turning the transponder off and going in a different direction, he depressurized the aircraft, possibly causing hypoxia to everyone on board. But again, not much of anything was recovered to determine that. Others suspected the plane was hijacked, possibly by terrorists, though no group has ever claimed responsibility. After all, a terrorist group aims to create attention and fear, and a disappearing plane with no acknowledgement of involvement doesn't really fit that agenda. There is even the conspiracy theory that somehow governments were involved through military intervention, but that only creates more unanswered questions. If any government was involved, especially the Malaysian government, what did they gain out of this situation? For the families of the 239 passengers and crew, MH370 isn't just a mystery. It's a tragedy with no closure. Imagine waiting years, not knowing what really happened to your loved ones. With new search efforts being made by Ocean Infinity, there is still a possibility that someday we, especially the families of the passengers, will get the closure on what exactly happened on March 8, 2014. Flight MH370 may have disappeared from radar, but it hasn't disappeared from our minds. Each piece of debris gives us a clue, yet the truth of what happened that night still remains hidden beneath the waves. Will we ever uncover the full story? Or is this a mystery destined to remain unsolved? If you've got a theory of your own about Flight MH370, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And if you want more deep dives into the world's most chilling mysteries, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching. See you on the next deep dive.